Excellent, excellent. So welcome everybody. Good morning, good morning. My thought for you this week that I have been working with, meditating on, is going back to one of those fundamental teachings of yoga that says that we are not this mind or we are not this body. And that what that brings us to is this beautiful moment where we say, yes, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And we're thrilled because the body and the mind have limitations, they have challenges, they have issues, right? And they're issues that we don't know how to solve because we're in them. But the other side of that is that if immediately we start to push away the body and the mind because we say, well, that's not me, so I can push it away, I can disassociate from it, is that creates more of what yoga says is our fundamental problem, separation, right? So we start to create or feed this sense of separation within ourselves, this sense of divide, right? That I have a body and a mind, but that's not me, so I push it over there. So the practice that we have when we have that realization that, oh, okay, I'm not limited by, I'm not defined by my body or my mind, is that now we have to understand how to relate to having a body and a mind, right? Because there's still our experience of ourselves. And if you want to know your infinite self, you got to go through this body and this mind, right? There's no way to know it and not be in this, right? Otherwise, the knowing is all somewhere else, right? It's not happening here. So the practice is to start to understand your mind as being your ally, not your enemy, right? Your mind is not the cause of your problems. Your mind is a representation of the relationship, the way that you are experiencing the world. And your relationship to your mind very much determines what your experience of yourself and the world is going to be, right? How much you feel or how little. So that relationship that you have within you with your mind dictates or determines, right, what that experience of yourself is, right? So that's what we're working with. Comfortable seat, let the eyes close. And many of us, we develop this complex relationship with our mind where, again, maybe it's love-hate, maybe it's just plain dislike, because the mind does what it does. And we forget that all of the greatness in you comes from the exact same place as what you think all of your mind's troubles are. It's the same mind. So as you start to drop into your breath, you start to drop into that inner space where it's just you and you. Can you let yourself sit across from some representation of your mind, a personality that you create of your mind? And you can feel that there's the mind, and you can feel your awareness that is looking at the mind. And that space that is between them, fill it in with love or loving kindness or friendliness, togetherness, connection, whatever word appeals to you. But fill in that space. And just keep holding that. And as long as you are sitting and as long as there is space to be filled, keep filling it. The ultimate realization in yoga, what it says is the final realization, is that everything is already interconnected and one. There is no separation between body, mind, spirit. There never has been. So we start to dissolve that sense of there being separation from within. And we dissolve it not by trying to get rid of a feeling of separation, but by filling in the space. Realizing that the space that we think is empty is full. And what is it full of? It's already full of this feeling of connection. You might find yourself relaxing around your mind. How great. You might find yourself understanding why your mind does what it does suddenly. How great. You may suddenly have a thought that maybe your inner world and your whole body, mind, self is not so bad. How great. Fill in the space. And don't think that you can do this once and it's going to completely transform the way that you relate to your mind, but you do it over and over again until you stop pushing your mind away every day. Take one more full deep breath in. As you exhale, you can release the image if you choose, or let it stay. Let the feeling stay, loving kindness. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. And then let's come forward to hands and knees. We'll try moving instead of sitting. On to hands and knees, please. Spread the fingers nice and wide. And before you do anything else, bend your elbows wide. So find yourself on hands and knees, spread your fingers, then bend your elbows out wide. Good. And as your elbows bend wide, yeah, you're dropping the chest a little bit, and then you're feeling yourself being able to draw those arm bones up and in towards the center of your back. Good. And then keep the elbows bent and start to pull your low rib cage in and up like you're trying to almost round your back or take the arch out of that middle back. Good. And then hug your upper arms towards each other, press through the big thumb and first finger mounds, and then start to lift your chest up to straighten your arms. So you push through your hands and lift your chest to straighten your arms. Good. And then soften that back of the shoulder blades again, lift your collarbones up. Nice. Awesome, you guys. Now tuck your toes and lift your hips. Come into downward facing dog with your upper back that awake. Good. And don't lose that as you come into down dog. Don't suddenly push all of your weight into your feet and forget about your arms. Is keep that sensation of the wideness of your back. Good. And the integration that you're also pulling the arm bones up and in. So you're pressing down and out through the fingers, but you're also drawing energy up. Good. And then come up onto your tippy toes. Take your hips even higher towards the sky. Same thing. You're pulling energy all the way up from your ankles or your toes all the way up into the pelvis. Good. And then exhale, soften the heels towards the floor, but keep your hips lifting just as high. That's it. And then one more time like that, rise up onto your tippy toes, pull up. So feel everything, pull up, pull up, pull up through your arms, through your legs, all the way up to that apex of your tailbone. And then soften the heels towards the floor. Nice, Lori, good. Awesome, you guys. And then step the right foot forward between the hands, please lunge. Walk both hands inside the front foot and move to your left until you come to the center of your mat. Straighten both legs, Prasarita Padottanasana. Yeah, you got it. Lift and spread your toes. So Prasarita Padottanasana, Lori. So side of your mat, wide legs. There you go. Yeah, I know, before 10 in the morning, if you're expected to understand Sanskrit. It's a little ridiculous expectation. Good, you guys. Lift and spread your toes, please. So again, you get this sensation of waking up the legs from the lowest part of the body. So instead of saying, oh, I've got to work my legs from the big muscles, find the awareness from the small places. So lift and spread your toes. The arches of your feet, believe it or not, are attached to your outer hips. So if your outer hips are tight, it's going to affect your feet. And if your feet are having issues, it's going to affect your hips. So lift and spread your toes, get your feet awake. And then soften the toes back towards the floor. Maybe feel just for a second like you're gripping the floor with your feet. So balls of the feet and heels squeeze towards each other. Good. And soften the back, just one more breath. Nice. And then take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Turn your right toes forward towards the top of your mat. Good. Keep the left foot where it is. Bend your right knee, come into warrior two. So let your knee go forward, but pull that left thigh back and then stretch the arms out wide. Good. And then come all the way to straight legs again. Stretch both arms up to the sky. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Lean towards the back of your mat. Lift your right hip point up higher. So pull it up off of your front thigh. That's it. And you're leaning back. Good. Now stay leaning back and bend your right knee like you're coming into reverse warrior. Good. So you're still lifting through that hip point, but you're letting your thigh go towards parallel to the floor, and then press into the baby toe of the back foot. So lift that back shin again. Nice. And then come all the way back up to center, arms out wide, front knee over the front ankle, still in warrior two. Good. Right forearm comes to rest on front thigh, left arm over the ear, side angle pose. Good. Take your left hand to your left hip, please, for a moment, and push that hip up into your hand. Good. So again, you get that back thigh really awake, the back foot really awake. Good. And now scoop into your belly just a little bit. Lift that right hip point up towards the top of your mat again. So you just pushed your left hip point backwards. Now pull your right hip forward. There you go. Now take that left arm back over the ear. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. One more breath. Rotating the ribs, reaching through the fingertips. There you go. And then all the way back up to warrior two, please, arms wide. Good. Straighten that front thigh, please. Turn your right toe same direction as your left, so you're back to the wide legs. Good. Reach back behind you. Hold opposite elbows or interlace the fingers, your choice. So Dana, just parallel your feet. Turn them forward. Parallel is forward. There you go. Deep breath in, and then bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. I understand. You can't understand geometry before 10 in the morning either. Good, you guys. Lift up halfway again so your chest goes higher, navel draws in, and then squeeze those upper arms towards each other. Even if you're holding opposite elbows, you're squeezing into your upper back. Nice, Lorna. Good. And then bow deeply again, keeping the navel drawing in. Send your hips high to the sky and let your head drop. Good. And then let the hands come back down to the floor, please. Beautiful. Walk your hands forward like you're in a wide-legged downward facing dog. So you're still in wide legs, you're just walking the hands straight ahead. And then same thing here, that even though your stance is wider, you can walk your hands further forward, is you still want to have this sensation of drawing the arm bones up and in to the back of your shoulders. Good. Tops of the thighs go back. Nice, you guys. So there's a feeling of pressing out through the tips of the fingers. Taylor, widen your hands a little bit more. That's going to give you a lot more space for your chest to open. You're pressing out through the fingers, but you're also drawing energy up. And this is a big one for the mind, right? The mind is sort of designed, or we have learned to use it in this way where we really output all the time, right? We don't pay a lot of attention to what we're actually drawing back into our system, back into our mind. And that very much has an impact on what our day-to-day, running imagery, running language of our mind is what you're bringing in. Walk your hands all the way back in, please. Move back towards the top of your mat. Right toes turn forward. Spin the left heel up. Good. Left hand plants right arm to the sky, spinal twist. Good. Open, open, open. Nice, Jan. Squeeze that right hip back and in, and then send your right knee forward more over the ankle. That's it. Good, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Step back, downward facing dog. Remembering that you are drawing energy up and in. So the fingers are spread wide, but pull the arm bones up into the shoulders. Nice. And then come up on your tippy toes again. So again, you're pulling up through the thighs as well. Everything pulls up towards that apex of the tail. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Good. And then soften your heels. Let your chest get wider, but keep that feeling of the arms are sliding up towards your hips. Nice. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right. Come back to the center of your mat. Prasarita Padottanasana, wide legs. Lift and spread your toes again. So part of that is to feel if you're actually using weight on your heels or if all of your weight has fallen forward into your toes. So you find all four corners of the feet. Good. And then soften the toes back to the floor, maybe with this sensation of the feet being wider. And then give that little bit of a squeeze just so it feels like you're actually hugging the arches of your feet in and up. Good. And then soften that a little bit so it's active, but it's not a clench. Beautiful. And then bring your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Turn your left toes forward towards the top of your mat. Good. Bend that knee coming into warrior two, stretching your arms out wide. Good. So trying to find that sensation of equal weight. So as much as your front thigh is going forward, your back thigh, your back shin is pulling back towards the back of your mat. So power up the back leg more. Good. And then take both legs to straight, stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Right hand reaches for left wrist, lean towards the back of your mat and pull your left hip point forward and up. So it's going to feel like you're actually tilting your pelvis towards the top of your mat. Good. But you want to get that left hip point up off of your thigh. That's right. Nice, you guys. And then stay leaning back. So Rachel, just reach the other way towards the wall. And then bend your left knee again, please. So you're in that reverse warrior position. Good. Again, widening the legs. Back thigh pulls backwards, front thigh goes forward. Beautiful. And then bring yourself back to center, arms wide, warrior two. Nice. Left forearm comes onto the front thigh, right arm comes over the ear, side angle. Good. And then right hand to your right hip for a moment so that you press up into that hip. Get the back thigh to lift a little more. Press into the baby toe of the back foot a little bit more. And then at the same time that you're doing that, try and lift your left hip up and off of your front thigh again. Feel how you're like, oh, suddenly my pelvis is a lot wider and my legs don't feel like they're just compressed into my hip joints. Yay. It's the point of the pose. And maybe you don't feel that yet. That's okay. Good. Arm back over the ear, please, just for a breath. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Nice job. Spin your back heel up. Oh, I forgot the forward fold. That's okay. Right hand down, left arm to the sky. Spinal twist. We'll get back to it. Good. Back thigh kicks a little higher and then bring your left knee forward over the ankle more. Notice if your big toe mound is starting to pull up off of the floor, press it down. And as you press it down, widen your inner knee. Told you, your foot and your hip are connected. Good. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Nice job. Step yourself back downward facing dog. Good. Drawing the arms up and in. Slide yourself forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Still with that feeling of drawing the arms up and in. So this is not you using your hands to push the floor away. This is you using the floor to lift your chest up and wide. And arms pull into the chest. That's it. One more breath. Let your shoulders move forward just a tiny bit more. Nice. And then lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Resist the floor. Really good. Nice, Emily. Point the toes back behind you. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Lower back to your belly, please. I did this yesterday, so it's only fair that you have to put up with it too. Left hand stays where it is. Right arm extends forward in front of you. So it's a one-armed cobra. Pressing into that left hand with the elbow bent. Lift up head, neck, and chest. Take the right arm up alongside your ear as you do that. So you still want to be pulling your rib cage in and away from the floor. Good. And then release back down. Switch the hands. Right hand down, left arm forward. Remember, you're trying to pull your ribs in and up. So start with that and then press into that right hand and lift even higher, left arm up alongside the ear. So again, you're not pushing into the floor to get away from it, is that you're using the floor as reference to engage the back. All the way back down. Left hand plants, right arm forward. Good. Rise up, cobra, from your back. Draw your ribs in first and then rise up. Right arm comes alongside your ear. Yes. And then release and switch. Right hand plants, left arm forward. Good. Rise up. Keep your feet on the floor, Rachel. Lift up. Feet on the floor, everyone. And release. Last time, left hand down, right arm forward. Rise up. I know this isn't fun, but it's good for you. Good. And release. Second side, right hand down, left arm forward. Rise up. Good. Nice, Marlene. And release, please. Take a moment on your belly, forehead to the floor. Make a pillow with your hands. I mean, I have to laugh because I actually like doing one-armed cobras. So for me, that is fun, but you know. Breathe into the back. Breathe into your mind. It said that the mind tends to run in either this mode where we call it the positive mind, the negative mind, or the neutral mind. And all of that is great to understand what your mind is doing at any given moment. Is it acting positively, right? Is it acting negatively? Is it in a neutral place? And do not forget, it's all the same mind. You don't have a mind where you get to say, my mind is always positive, my mind is always negative, my mind is always neutral. No, it isn't. It goes through all three, no matter what. It is one mind. And even the yogis say that we have this imagination that each of us have an individual mind. But the reality is that we are all sharing one mind. And it's just one particular experience of that mind that you are focused on. It feels like you are separate from other beings. So they say that this is our challenge, is that we are so convinced that we are separate that we have trouble conceiving of what it means to be connected. So you experience your mind as positive, negative, neutral, but it's all one mind. So what you feed it matters. And what you fill in that space that is your relationship with your mind with matters. Walk your hands back alongside your rib cage, please. Plant both hands, a lovely regular type cobra. Lift up head, neck, and chest. But with that same awareness, right? The point of doing it with one hand is so that you start to feel, where am I using my back and where am I refusing to use my back? So really squeeze the lower armpits towards each other here, almost as though your hands are pushing into the floor, but they're still weightless because it's your back that's lifting. Good. And then release, please, downward facing dog. Right. Premise of yoga is that we have all become incredibly forgetful. We've forgotten what we know. We've forgotten what we're capable of. And we've gotten really good at ignoring it, even when it's presented to us. Right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. And drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Take the arms up to warrior two, shoulders over the hips. Good. Again, lifting that right hip point slightly higher so that you're almost leveling your right and left hip point, that you want them to be in the same line with each other. So lift that right hip point up. Good. Arms nice and wide. And then stretch the arms up to the sky, interlace the fingers, press the heels of the hands up, come up on the ball of your front foot. So lift your front heel and then let your thigh go a little bit deeper, but pull that back thigh away. So again, get wide through the toes of your back foot. Nice, you guys. Pull up through your side body. So all your weight is not falling into that front leg. Good. Now take your right heel back to the floor and lift and spread your toes and drag back on the heel so that you feel the back of your thigh really wake up. Keep your hands where they are, but lean towards the back of your mat with your toes lifted. So you're dragging back on your front heel, letting your thigh go deeper into the lunge. Yep. Nice. This is really active hamstring work here. Release the toes, please. Come all the way back up to warrior two. Good. Right forearm to front thigh, left arm over the ear. Take your left arm straight up to the sky. Turn your palm to face back. Reach around, find that outer right hip if you'd like. Good. Pause for a moment, lifting that right hip point. Nice. Nice, you guys. Good. And then stretch the left arm back up to the sky. Nice. Release both hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Good. Drop the back knee to the floor. Move your left hip back so it's on top of that knee, and then take your right leg forward to straight Ardha Hanumanasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Nice. Say nobody asked for low back today, so I have to take advantage and do wild things with you. Good. Drag back on that right heel. And as you drag back on that heel, so again, you feel what that does to the engagement of your leg. You're pulling that right thigh bone up and in. Now press through the ball of your foot, like you're pointing your foot, and then curl your toes back. So you're pushing forward like you're pressing on a gas pedal is usually how we say it, or wearing high heels, whatever makes more sense to you. So press out through the ball of the foot, right? So the ankle is in that pointed position, but then curl your toes back. Good. And again, if that's hard for you to do, this is great work for you to get more flexibility in your foot, which will create more flexibility, guess where? In your hips. So work your feet. Good. One more breath, drag back on the heel, but press out through the ball of your foot and curl your toes back. Good. Nice, you guys. And then go ahead and shift your weight forward again, drag that right heel back, come back to a lunge, right foot forward, lift the back knee, and inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. Take your left hand to your outer right knee, please. So you're coming across the body, and press that knee wide into your hand. Right arm comes straight back behind you, reaching towards the wall behind you or whatever space you have behind you. So your shoulders are staying pretty vertical here, but I want you to really focus on that pressing wide of the knee, pressing wide of the inner thigh, and then root that big toe mound down to the floor. So again, this combination of I push my knee wide, but I push through the big toe mound of my foot. This is helping to strengthen and rebalance inner and outside edge of the leg. One more breath, rotate the ribs. Yeah, and then unwind the twist, take the arms to the sky. Nice, Lorna, nice, Alana, both my Alanas. Good, and then release the hands down to the floor. Both hands inside the front foot, walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat. Take the legs to straight. Prasarita Padottanasana. Oh no, I'm really in the mood for your outer hips. IT bands to be happy. Right hand stays right where it is underneath you. Left arm to the sky, please twist. Let your weight move slightly forward onto that hand so that you move your weight forward onto the ball of your foot. And then once you've moved the weight of your hips forward, so now they're between your ankles, now press into your heels. Good. Release and switch the arms. Left hand down, right arm to the sky. And same thing, don't just have that left hand resting on the ground or a block, push into that. As you push into it, lift your left shoulder up off of that arm and take your right rib cage higher and wider. Good, and then pull your left inner thigh wider to the left so that your hips are still in line with each other. Good, throat back. There you go, Ralph, nice. Good, Diane. Release the hand down to the floor. Good, bring your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Wow. Good, heel toe your feet in just one or two heel toes and then take your toes out to 45 degrees. High squat, bend your knees. Good, if your knees are going beyond your ankles here, separate your feet wider again. And if your thighs are not yet paralleling the floor with your knees over your ankles, separate your feet wider again. Good, Emily, wider feet. Yeah, I want you to start wide so that you really have the opportunity to drop your pelvis low. This is the thing, is we say, I really don't want to go that low, so I'll take my feet closer together. Take your feet wider so you actually have the ability to feel. Drop yourself into the wideness of your thighs. Scoop the low place of your belly so you're lifting your hip points up, drop your tail. Good. I love the hands at the tops of the thighs, just press wide. Good. Yep, drop your seat. I'm not so interested in what your ribs are able to do here at the moment. For once, embrace that. Good. Nice, you guys, straighten the legs. Beautiful. Realize that your mind was giving up there before your legs really were. Just notice. Left toes turn back in, right toes turn forward. Keep the legs straight, arms wide. Trikonasana, please. Extend the right rib cage towards the front foot. Right hand touches down, left arm to the sky. Good. And even here, that same feeling of the left hip is pushing back and wide, that's the back hip, but your right hip has to continue to pull forward and up. Nice. Throat back. Beautiful. Nice, Lori. Good, Emily. Nice, Melody. Good, Allison. Nice, Sue. I know as you're falling out of it. Nice, Sue. Good. Bend your right knee, please. Release the hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. It happens too often when I'm noticing you and I'm like, you're doing great. And then you fall out of the pose. I'm like, you're still doing great. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. And because I'm feeling merciful, drop to your knees, child's pose. Break before the other side. Generosity. Generosity. Really, it's awareness, right? And that's the thing, is that the activity of the mind that we are usually running from or working with is the part of the mind that is designed, calibrated for organization, right? So what it does primarily is it does a lot of labeling, categorizing, dividing, judging. That's what it does. And then we look at that and say, oh, that's a cause of all of my problems because I do that. Meanwhile, your mind is like, but that's my job. How else would you manage the world if I didn't do that? I don't get it. Right? The divide that we create in ourselves. The mind is supposed to do those things, but when we think that that's all there is, we're missing the awareness piece. We don't understand what the mind is doing and why. Then we start to avoid the value of the mind. We start to push it away and say, it's not me. Your relationship with that working mechanism is how you live in the world. So fill in that space with love. Walk yourself back up to hands and knees. Downward facing dog, moment of generosity over. I know, don't shake your head. Don't turn off your camera. I've now come to, never would I assume to know what you're doing when you turn off your camera, but, I would just in my head imagine that you were avoiding something. Left leg up and back, down dog split, please. Good, step that foot forward between the hands. Good, drop your back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Warrior two, take the shoulders over your hips. Good, we'll see if I can remember what I did when I did it. Good, nice you guys. So come up on the ball of your front foot, please. So lift the heel, stretch the arms up to the sky, interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands up. So the point of that is not just to have a fancy position for your arms, is so that you have this feeling of pulling energy up. So you're pulling through your waist, right? And then with the heel lifted, you're letting your thigh go deeper. So you're dropping your pelvis down, but pulling your waist up. Good. So again, it's like decompressing your spine a little bit. Good. Now bring the heel back down to the floor, please. Lift and spread your toes. So your foot is flat, but just your toes come up. So ball of the foot on the floor, Emily, just your toes up. Good. Lean towards the back of your mat, still with the hands clasped, pressing out through the heels of the hands. Good. But lift and spread your toes. Bring your thigh deeper into the lunge and drag back on your heel. So again, if the back of your thigh doesn't feel like it just got incredibly powerful, drag back on your heel more. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come all the way back up. Relax the toes, arms wide. Drop that left forearm onto your front thigh, right arm over the ear, side angle. Good. Feeling the ribs continue to open. So don't get obsessed about the legs. Open the ribs. And then right arm to the sky, please. Turn your palm to face back, bend the elbow, reach around, find the outer left hip. Again, turning the ribs. And if the bind is not working for you today, that's fine. Take the right hand to your right hip and do the same thing. Just open the shoulder more, open the ribs. Nice, you guys. Good. Stretch that right arm back up to the sky, please. Nice job. Release both hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Drop that knee. And then move your right hip back so it's in line with that knee and take the left leg to straight. Ardha Hanumanasana. Come up on the heel. Use blocks if you need. Good. Trying to make sure that your hips, right and left, are in the same line with each other. So almost every single time, and even if you're thinking about it, every single time, your extended leg is going to be slightly forward. So pull that left hip back. It does not help anything to have your hip forward. So pull it back so that your hips are in line, even if that means that you're like, oh, I have even less stretch than I thought. That's okay. Put your hips in alignment. Good. And then your heel is pressing down and dragging back. And then press through the big toe mound of the foot. So press out through the whole ball of the foot, I should say. Again, like that gas pedal, push out, curl your toes back. And again, drag back on your heel. So the real control of the stretch here is not what you do with your foot. Your foot does impact, but it matters what you do with your pelvis. So the more you send your sit bones back and wide, you're going to feel that pull through the back of the hamstring. So the back of the thigh up into the lower spine. So it's what your pelvis does that makes more difference for your hamstrings than what your foot does. Just saying. Good. To keep that foot awake. Press out through the ball of the foot, curl the toes back. Nice. I know. One more breath. Send your butt back. Lift your chest. Don't hide in your shoulders. There you go. Good, you guys. Then pull that left heel back, come back to lunge. So left knee over the left ankle. Lift your right knee off the floor, back knee up. Inhale, both arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. You got it. Right hand to outer left knee, please. So you're coming into that standing twist. Right, left arm comes back behind you, reaching towards the back wall or whatever space there is behind you. And you're focusing on pressing that left inner knee wide, inner thigh wide, and then pressing down through the big toe mound at the same time. So again, you're working that spiral energy of the leg, of the inner thigh going wide, but the big toe mound rooting down. Good. And then your back thigh kicks up a little higher. Reach through that left arm so your ribs move slightly back in space. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Awesome, you guys. Unwind the twist, both arms to the sky. Inhale. I know. Good. And then release the hands to the floor. Beautiful. Drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Walk your hands back to the inside, all the way to the center of your mat, wide legs, Prasarita Padottanasana. After today, you will never forget the name of this pose. That's not true. And the grace of yoga says you can forget as many times as you want the names of your poses, the names of your names of your family. You can forget everything. You can forget yourself over and over again. That's fine. Because that group mind will always remember. Right? That group awareness, the one awareness, never forgets. And because of that one awareness, as we, as individuals, can never really forget. Your relationship with your mind is sometimes said to be, usually said to be, the biggest stumbling block. Not because your mind is the problem, but because we are convinced that the mind is just a problem, not an ally. Walk yourself back in, please. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Heel toe your feet a tiny bit closer. Remember how wide you had to go the first time. Don't kid yourself. Turn your toes out, 45 degrees both feet. Bend your knees. Drop into that high squat. Knees, again, are moving wide towards second or third toe. And you're drawing into your low belly to lift your hip points up. If that means you can't come as low, that's okay. I really want you to work at that, getting that vertical pelvis as much as you can. So you're lifting through your hip points, dropping through your tail. Good. Ribs draw in as much as they can so that you're not creating arch in your spine. Good. Press into your heels, press into the balls of your feet. Again, that subtle squeeze of the legs is how you do this from your inner thighs and not from just your quads. Good. For fun, come up on the balls of your feet and then drop your hips lower, but your chest lifts higher, and smile a little. Good. Drop your heels flat, please. Straighten the legs. Good. Stretch your arms out wide. Right toes turn in a little bit so they parallel the back of your mat. Left toes turn forward. Both legs are straight. Trikonasana. Extend the left rib cage forward. Let that hand drop down. Front leg floor block. Right arm to the sky. It is the eternal joke of yoga teachers that you end up doing in class what I feel like I need myself. So now you know what I think I need for myself. Deep breath. Rotate your ribs, heart to the sky. Send that left butt cheek under just a little bit. Yep. And then lift that right outer hip open, open, open. That's it. Bend the left knee, release the hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. Step back. Good. Deep breath in. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Child's pose. I was tempted to have you come rest and squat, but I thought that maybe someone would throw something at me. So someone in the room, not one of you guys. Breathe deeply. Good. All of the greatness in you also flows through your mind. It's not just your challenges, not just your problems. Really, the mind is the keeper of your experiences. The body and the mind are the keepers of your experience. So whatever is there, it's an interpretation of what you have been through this lifetime, other lifetimes. And if we can't comprehend what that is, we have no relationship to what that is, then what has been the point of our experience, right? We look at it and we say, oh, well, maybe I don't like that interpretation. Okay, there are other interpretations, right? There's more. Yoga says, absolutely, you can expand your interpretations. But what your mind has done and is doing is purposeful, right? It's doing it for a reason and not for a reason to make you miserable. Can you understand your mind? And even if it is doing things that are crazy, destructive, incomprehensible, can you still fill in that space that is between your awareness and the mind itself with love? Because it will not make the mind less crazy to hate it. It will not make anything easier to bear to say, I refuse to engage with this. When we feed that separation, then we are doing the opposite of what yoga asks us to find. It's how you are interconnected. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Good. Come back to downward facing dog. Good. Step or jump your feet to the top of your mat, coming to a standing forward fold, so you don't have to worry about squat. Not at the moment. Good. Take your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Beautiful. And then bring the right knee up and towards your chest, please, as you are ready. As the right knee comes up, top of your left thigh goes back. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Press the knee wide into your hand. Bring your right hand to your lower spine and press your low back into your hand. So it's going to feel like you're pressing your butt back and your shoulders come slightly forward. So instead of leaning back, you're actually vertical. Good. Press that right knee wide. Twist the belly to the right. Good. Keep pressing your back into that hand at your sacrum. Nice. And then if you'd like, straighten that right leg, still pressing the knee wide into your hand. I know it's a challenge if you're not holding the foot, but press the knee wide and extend. Press your butt back at the same time, leaning the shoulders slightly forward. That's it. Bend the knee again, unwind your twist, and step that foot down to the floor. Nice job. Inhale the arms to the sky. Good. Right hand holds left wrist. Yep. Pull to your left. There you go. Sorry, pull to your right. Right hand's holding left wrist. Good. Come back up to center, please. Switch your hands. Go the other way. So again, if something I say doesn't make sense, just continue. Good. Press into those heels, Taylor. So you're just opening the ribs just a little bit more. That's it. Nice, you guys. Come all the way back up. And then other side, left knee up and towards your chest. Here you go. As that knee comes up, top of the right thigh goes back. So this is, again, the more you are drawing energy up, not just pressing into the heel, falling into your standing posture, but pulling up, pull up into the center. Right hand reaches for outer left knee. Left hand comes to your lower back. Press your butt or your low back into your hand. It's going to feel like your shoulders lean slightly forward. That's okay. It's getting you out of that habit of leaning back to try and pretend that you're balancing. Press your knee wide. Good. Flex that foot. And then twisting the belly to the left, any amount. Keep your butt pushing back into your hand. And then straighten the leg if you choose, extending through the heel. So again, the power of your thigh. Press your butt back at the same time. Yep. Good, Melody. Nice, Diane. Good, Allison. Good, Lorna. Good, Lori. Nice. Bend that knee again, please. Unwind your twist. Step the foot to the floor. Nice job, you guys. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, come up halfway, fingers to the front of your shins or blocks, and then move your butt forward. Yep. Move your weight forward. Move your shins forward. Move your butt forward. If you're not feeling like you're going to fall on your face, move forward more. There you go. Heels on the floor though. Good. Nice. Now keep that lift of your sit bones and bow deeply again. Don't let your hips move back in space. Keep them forward and up. I know, being realistic with your hamstrings. Good. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Right knee up in towards your chest. Boy.
I was gonna say
Again. Yes, again. Hug that knee and top of your left thigh goes back. Bring that right knee wide for tree, placing the foot in the inside of the left leg, wherever you wish it to go, high or low, doesn't matter. As long as you're not pressing directly on your knee. Good. And then your favorite arm position, although I definitely do recommend, since the thought is to be pulling energy up and in, is arms to the sky is a great one. So if you don't have a choice that is really insistent, then arms up. Good. Pull in towards that midline. Nice. Good, you guys. One more breath. And then spin that knee forward and release the foot down to the floor. I hope you enjoyed that. Looked like you did. Pretty good. Let's try the second side, left knee up and towards your chest. Good. Bring the knee wide, bottom of the foot to the inside of the right leg. Again, wherever it's going to rest. Keeping the top of your right hip moving slightly back and wide because it's going to have a tendency to spin forward. So you got to pull it back. And then again, your favorite arm position or arms to the sky. Good. Pulling everything in and up into that midline. Feel your foot that you're standing on get super wide. Good. And that little hug of the arch of the foot. Nice. Pull in and up. Beautiful. For fun, close your eyes. And then slowly release, eyes open. Drop that foot to the floor. Nice job. Inhale the arms to the sky. Good. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale up halfway, hands to the front of the shins or blocks. Remember, you're moving your weight forward towards the balls of your feet. So you take that extremeness out of the backs of your knees and you put it back where it belongs, in your thighs and your butt and your back, right? So stay leaning slightly forward, weight of the hips over the ankles, and then bow deeply again. Keep sending your butt straight up to the sky. You really want to make yourself crazy. Do forward folds with your butt to the wall. It will be so frustrating. Good. And then walk your hands forward. Please step your feet back, downward facing dog. If you already came to a wall to do forward folds, then walk yourself forward into down dog. Nice, Ralph. Good, Mark. Good, Sarah. Good. Deep breath in, you guys. And then right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bring that knee forward towards your nose, armpits over your wrists, and then send that leg out straight behind your left wrist. So shoot it out straight onto the baby toe edge. And then extend out until your right hip finds the floor. So the legs are split and you're reaching out, right outer hip finds the floor. Left toes stay down, facing down to the floor. Turn your ribs to face the front of your mat. Come on down onto your forearms. You got it. Legs are straight, crisscross. Yep, Bridget's cross, they call this. So the right leg is straight out from the hip. Left leg is back behind you, but the toes are tucked under. So that hip is spinning forward towards the top of your mat. And keep both feet awake. Good. Told you, I don't know what's gotten into me, but your hips and your IT bands are. Breathe deeply. Keep thinking of those old commercials, you know, I think they were the anti-drug commercials that would say, you know, a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
yeah.
That one. Yeah. Not the one with the eggs frying and this is your mind on, not those. This is your brain on drugs. Yeah, not that one. But the idea that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And it's true, right? And we do it every day as we waste our minds. Right? We fill it with nonsense and then we complain that it sends nonsense back to us. or it's trying to tell us something important, but we're so uninterested in hearing it that it gets quieter and quieter or louder and louder. And we get really good at ignoring and ignoring. And then we say, I don't understand why my mind can't focus on something else. I don't understand. Why can't it just focus on being happy? Why can't it just fall into this state of ecstasy and meditation? I don't understand. But when it needs something from us, no, thank you. Busy. You are not me. All right. It's true. You are not your thoughts. It's true. You are not defined or contained by the activity of your mind. But if you ignore it, you cannot find what you really are. That's okay. Deep breath in. I know. You think just because one of you looks like you're fidgeting that I'm going to let you all out, but one more breath. Walk yourself back in, please. Unwind. So tuck those back toes, press into that back foot, and then take that right leg back and up, down dog split. You can always modify if your body's insisting that you have to change something, But part of the beauty of group practice or having instruction, release that foot to the floor. Good. Vinyasa if you choose, or take a breath or two in child's pose. The beauty of group practice is that poses that you on your own, you would be like, this is a great idea, this pose. This is exactly what I need. And you'll hold it for 2 breaths. And then you'll say, that's enough. When what you really need is to stay for 2 minutes, right? Good. Find your way back to downward facing dog, please, so that we can torture the other side. Good. Liberate the other side. Left leg up and back, down dog split. Bring the knee forward towards your nose. And then again, extending that leg out wide to the right. So behind your right wrist, and make sure that you split the legs, right? So that your leg is roughly in line with your hip. Flex the foot a lot and then lower down until that outer left hip finds the floor. Turn your ribs forward, come down onto your forearms. Good. Back toes are tucked under. So keep that leg awake. You're not just dropping the right leg to the floor. Your toes are tucked under as much as you can. So you're turning that right hip forward. Good. There you go. And you are breathing. Good. I am on board for every method of working with your mind to understand it, not to try and fix it. By understanding it, then there's much more ability to input something different, understand something different, broaden that perception of what you have experienced, what you are experiencing. And also to discover that innate goodness that is in your mind. And that's the part that we tend to skip over, is that there's an innate goodness to your mind. Even when it's acting crazy, there's an innate goodness. In the Yoga Sutras, when you read about the yamas and the niyamas, so the ways that we are asked to or suggested that we interact with the world and we interact with ourselves, is many of them are written in a way that says, when you master this, what you see is this happen in the world, right? So you master such a truth, and what you see is truth in the world. When you master contentment, that's what you see in the world. Right? Many of them are written in that way that says that you have to master this internally for it to be something that expresses itself outwardly. So it's that inner relationship that is always the one that we are asked to pay attention to. And it's not to whip your mind into shape, but it's to discover that there's an innate goodness. All of your greatness flows through your mind, not just your problems. And how you relate to your mind in large ways is very much telling you how you are relating to that infinite self. I hate my mind. I hate my experiences. Very difficult to fall into a state of ecstatic love when every day you're saying, I'm completely avoiding the way that I experience love, completely avoiding. So where there is the mind and there is the awareness, we fill in the space with that feeling that there is already interconnectedness, there's already love. You don't have to make it up out of nowhere. I know. I'm just talking so that you stay distracted. They start to see your heads pop up looking like, is she done? Are we done? One more breath. And then walk yourself back up onto your hands. Lucky this isn't yin. I don't have a timer to be like, we spent exactly the same amount of time on both sides. Come back to down dog split. Please take that left leg up and back behind you. Oh, good. And then release that foot to the floor, please. Nice job. Deep breath in. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Child's pose. Dropping hips back towards your heels. Good. And then find your way back up to sit. So an opportunity to go upside down. If you would like to, headstand, handstand, shoulder stand, forearm stand. Any version of that. Legs up the wall. If you're like, heck no, I'm exhausted. Put your legs up the wall. You can put a block underneath your seat in either supported bridge or supported shoulder stand. Good. You can just lay on your back and stretch your legs up to the sky if you'd like. Yeah, now when I see you turn your camera off, I'm like, avoiding inversions. No. Never assume that. Good, you guys. One of the benefits of inverting is that it helps to calm and focus the mind. Keep your breath long and deep wherever you are. Long, deep breathing also helps calm and focus the mind. So you have two choices. If you're ever in a moment, you're like, what should I do? Should I breathe deeply or should I kick up into a handstand? It depends on where you are. Yeah, maybe pick the breathing if you're in the supermarket. What's been interesting, I've been challenging myself, right? It said that traditionally that 3 minutes in an inversion is considered a really good place to be, right? Consistent 3 minutes in an inversion. So I've actually been trying to like time myself when I'm in one. So not so much of the come up and come down and come up and come down. Although if that's what you're doing to practice inversions, it's perfect. It's an interesting thing to be upside down and to hold it for a full 3 minutes. Because you think that's not all that much time, but when you're upside down, it feels like forever. Yeah. You think there's no way I could do it when you're imagining it from the outside, but then you're in it and you surprise yourself. Timer goes off and you're like, oh. Couple more breaths. And then as you're ready, slowly begin to release the inversion. If you're in headstand, handstand, if you'd like to take a few moments in Virasana or child's pose or even down dog. If you are in shoulder stand, a few breaths with the knees bent. The spine find itself. Good. Then find your way onto your backs if you are not there already. If you're in the room and you want to do heads towards the center of the room, that's lovely. Home, you can point your head wherever you want. Good. Now with the knees bent, please separate your feet as wide as your mat. Let them windshield wiper right and left. So drop the knees to the right and drop them to the left and to the right and to the left. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Take your right ankle over your left thigh. And then you're letting your legs drop to your left. Yep. So your right foot is going to find its way flat to the floor. You're pressing the ankle against the thigh, and then you're starting to work that knee up towards an angle at the ceiling, right? So you're starting to press the thigh away from your belly, but you're dropping your right side sacrum down to the floor. Good. So Mark, let your legs come all the way over first. There you go. Yep. And then start to work that right side sacrum back. Nice, you guys. Good. So you might have to fool a little bit with that angle of the right knee. If you let it fall towards your belly a little bit more, then you can work the back more towards the floor. And that might feel like it's more of what you need. It's actually going to be a softer angle of the thigh in the hip socket. Once you've sort of established that openness at the outer hip, then you can start to work the knee back up towards the ceiling. But for many of us, the first thing is let the knee fall slightly towards the belly. Press that right side sacrum back and down. So it's like you're pulling your thigh bone again into the hip socket. And then once that's very integrated, then you can start to rotate again. Good. This is a position that some people feel a little bit, some people feel a lot. Hopefully you feel something. Good. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Right ankle stays over the left knee. Just lift the legs back up. And then take your left shin or your left foot off of the floor. Shin parallels the floor. Reach through to hold that thigh. And take a deep breath in, flexing both feet. And as you exhale, keep your low back rooting down to the floor, but lift your shoulders up and squeeze the legs in. Good. If you want to reach through and try and find the left ankle with your hands, you can do that. I know. Good. Nice, Lorna. Good, Marlene. Nice, Lori. Good, Jan. Good, Allison. Good, Diane. Good, Melody. Good, Emily. Slowly release, please. Good. Release that right foot to the floor. Plant both feet. Set your arms in either robot arms or arms straight. Come into bridge pose. So pressing through the feet, through the heels. Rise up from the back of your heart and then all the way up through your hips. Good. And similar to that feeling of that one-armed cobra again, as you push down into your arms, again, really feel that squeeze around your lower armpits and that's what's lifting your back up. And then press into your feet and drag your heels back. So again, you're getting more into the hamstrings being a working experience here instead of a along for the ride experience. Good. Slowly release the hips back down to the floor, maybe rolling down the spine if that's available. Good. And then left ankle comes over right thigh, please. Drop your legs to your right. So your left foot is going to come flat to the floor. And again, you're working first, maybe that angle of the knee towards the belly so that you can bring your left side sacrum more towards the floor. So you're working that twist in your spine, getting a little bit more into the openness of the lower back. Good. Once you've done that, if you feel pretty good where your left side sacrum is reaching for the floor, then you can start to angle that knee back up towards the sky or back up towards the ceiling. Remember, the whole point though is that you're working with your thighs integration in your hip joint. You're not working with, oh, I've got to press my butt down and get my knee up. Not the point. It's like working with the mind isn't identifying, here's my problem, and this is what I need to try to obliterate. But it's being able to actually feel, oh, here's the pattern that I've developed in looking at the world. Here's this pattern that I've developed, and there's a reason for it. And if I understand the reason, then I can expand my perception. If I don't know what's happening, then there's nothing to expand upon. Your mind is not your enemy. It may be confused, it may need help, but it is not your enemy. It is the key to being able to experience that infinite self. So we practice that inner relationship dissolving, where we separate from the body and the mind. We dissolve that separation by realizing that what looks like empty space is full. Bring yourself back to center, please. Keep that left ankle over the right thigh. Good. And then lift your right foot up off the floor. Shin comes parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold the right thigh. Trying to keep as much of your low back on the floor as you can. As you exhale, lift your shoulders up off the floor. Curl into the belly. Draw those legs in. Squeeze in. And if you want to reach through the legs, trying to find that right ankle or foot, go for it. Nice. Really good. Nice, Ralph, you got it. Good, Mark. Good, Sarah. Good, Dana. Slowly release, please. Unwind. Awesome. Plant both feet to the floor. Bend your elbows into robot arms or arms straight, your choice. Come back to bridge. Lifting the hips, rising up from the back of the heart. Good. Drag back on your heels. Good. And now feel your sternum pull to the crown of your head, to the top of your chest, lifts. And then unwind the spine, roll down the spine, one vertebra at a time. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Your choice of a spinal twist, so if you want to do both knees together, you can certainly do that. You can extend one leg out, hugging the other knee in. You can cross the thighs like eagle and twist. Spinal twist of your choice. Good. Again, just making sure that if you are twisting, you can cross the thighs into eagle, and just make sure you drop the legs to one side. Good. Make sure you do the other side in your twist. Twists are like shoes. They should come in pairs. And then when you are done with your twists, coming back to center, start to stretch the legs out in front of you for Shavasana, arms alongside you. Maybe you come back to this version of Maitri or metta meditation, where you are filling in the spaces in you with loving kindness. So again, instead of an external individual that you are flowing this energy to and from, as you're flowing it to and from yourself, your own mind. Maybe you just let yourself dissolve into your breath and let your mind go with you. Maybe you do a true Shavasana where you attempt to do nothing at all. Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath. And the body stretch and move in all the ways that serve it well. And when you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. Taking a moment before you begin to push the floor away, come back to an upright seated position. And bring the hands together, palm to palm in front of the heart. And I like this experience as you push your hands together. Notice that no matter how hard you press, there's always going to be a little space that's between them. So when we try to bring opposites together, right, we try to say, oh, this and that is really one, is there's always going to be that little bit of space. Right? Our mind has learned to understand things as separate. So there's that space. There's still an understanding that right and left are right and left, even if you bring them together. And into that space, right, your body, your mind, yourself, you fill that space with love. You fill in those inner spaces with love. It dissolves the separation. Right and left can still be right and left, but they are held together by love. Your body and your mind may not be what you are, does not determine who you are. But it is part of your experience of that infinite self. And what is it all held together with? Love. So we practice that, filling in our own inner spaces where we have learned to be separate, learned to believe in our separateness. And we fill it in with love until there is nothing else. Until the separateness dissolves, we keep doing it. And that's a yoga practice. You keep doing it no matter what. You find those inner spaces and you fill it in with love. Om Shanti. Close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. Enjoy your brand new hips and IT bands. You might feel it tomorrow in a good way.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.